Hi, Katrina here from Scrappy Horses. Today I want to share with you just how easy it is to make a card using the pre-colored buttons and bows, ephemera, florals, alphabet from the Polkadoodles Feel the Music collection. And I'm going to give you all of the information in the box below where you can find all those goodies over at Polkadoodles. So let's get started. I want my finished card to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I am starting out in my notes program on my Mac, and I'm going to start with just this basic brown shape. And this will get glued or adhered to my standard card base, which again will be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So what I've done is I've just chosen my paper that I'm going to, my computer quote unquote paper that I'm going to work with by coming into Document. I'm working with an Epson printer and I'm working again in my notes program. I have the ability to work with 12 by 12, so I could have done this on a standard letter size paper, but I chose to go with 12 by 12. It gives me just a little more room here on my screen to play with when I'm making a recording. Okay, so I've chosen my paper and I have that up. So then I come over to Format. I click that. I come over, click on a shape. I'm going to work with a square shape. Again, I'm in Format. I click Arrange if I weren't already there. And I know that the size I want for this outside brown piece is width 5 by 5, or 5.5. Forgive me, that's 5.5, and I'm working in inches, by 4 inches. And I can adjust that right here. I'm going to go ahead and constrain that just so it doesn't go anywhere for right now. And you can see that now this is the same size as what I have above it. Okay. Now to change my color, I come back to Style. I already have Color Fill. I go here to my color wheel and I can find this brown color here. Get as close as I can to what I had before. Let's see if I can find it. It may not be exact, but we'll get there. We'll get close. That's pretty close. All right. So again, that was by having color fill and just hitting our little color wheel, and then I can come here and play with this color wheel all I like. Then I can darken the hue or lighten it right down here with this bar. Now comes the fun part. We get to start decorating this little piece here that creates our card front. All of the pieces that I'm going to be pulling in, I have watermarked with the Polkadoodles label. As we all know, there are some unscrupulous people out there who like to get into videos and such and steal things. So just for safety's sake, I did watermark all of these. When you buy these pieces, you'll get them in a folder, and the big folder comes with little folders. In this particular one, you'll have an alphabet, buttons and bows, ephemera, florals, frames, get wordy, papers, ribbons, and templates. So I've chosen a little piece from a few of these different folders to show you how you can make that work. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull in the paper we're going to use. Now this particular paper right here already has 2 sections. So that makes it really easy to create a card quickly. So all I do is I just pull it from here onto here, size it, and you can play with it and size it this way. Oops. Or again, you can choose it, arrange it, and do it this way. Now I already know, because I've done this before, that this size needs to be 5.25, again in inches. I don't have to type this in because I'm going to go ahead and constrain my proportions. And there it is. Now you'll see these yellow lines that show up here and here. And that tells me that I'm in the middle of the rectangle that I have down before, that dark brown rectangle. Now, you can see here that I have some darkness under here that makes it look like a shadow. To get that, I just come back to Style. You'll see here it says Shadow. I just used a drop shadow, and there it is. It makes it look like it has that dimension. Now, my next step was to pull in these little ribbons that were under here. And I used this ribbon. And again, all I have to do is just kind of pull it down to where I want it and the size I want. And I used 2 of those. Now, I could bring in a second one like I just did, where I'm pressing delete on my keyboard. I could hit here, Command, copy, Command V. That'll give it to me in the exact same size. Okay, now on mine I didn't do it the exact same size. As you can see, I have it kind of layered in different sizes there. So you can just change that by however you want. Scooch them over a little bit or do whatever you like to do with that. Then I pulled over 1/3 ribbon. Actually, it's a second different ribbon. And what I did is I just pulled this in on top. Again, sized it appropriately. And you can always move these however you like. Okay, so that's how I ended up with all of this. Now, my next little piece that I brought in was this leaf underneath here. Okay, so I pull that in, and it comes in pretty big, so I could just bring it down in size and bring it down here. Now, there are lots of things you can do when you start working with these elements. You can come over here to Arrange, and you'll notice that you have Rotate Angle. Now, there are different ways to rotate that. You can rotate it using this dial. Okay. Or if you feel like you get a little, you get it close but not quite where you want it, or you feel like your finger just goes too fast, you can come over here to this, and you can do it this way and just get little movements. Oops. There we go. So I'm going to get this close to where I had it before. I think it needs to be a bit smaller. Okay. And again, I could flip it if I wanted to flip it just by doing this. Okay, I can flip it upside down. So there are all kinds of things you can do over here. Okay. Now I'm going to bring in this big floral piece. And again, this came from, let me tell you where I found these. I'm having a little bit of a moment here where I'm taking you backwards. So forgive me for that. But the buttons and bows, that's where this little button piece came from that we're going to use in a minute. The florals is where you'll find the leaf and this piece that we're going to bring in right now. The ribbons is where we found the ribbons. Papers is where we found papers. And so on and so forth. So here comes our brown floral piece. Again, we just size it to approximately where you want it here. And we're going to go ahead and size that down just a little bit, move it over a little bit, bring this in, come back, grab our leaf, rotate him until he looks where we might like him. Now again, we can rotate all of these and move them exactly where we want. And come back and grab our little leaf. Do the same thing. Now I do want to be careful not to have my little flower or anything sticking off of the brown part, because basically I just want to be able to lay this on my paper slicer and just slice straight down and not cut anything off. So I am being a little cautious here not to have things stick off the edge of the brown. All right. Then for my final piece that I'm going to pull in for this, I'm going to bring in this button. Go ahead and bring that down. Put it into place, and again I can play with that and scooch it around and put it however I like it also. So that's just how easy it is. Now for the thanks, I could not find a way to show you how to do this without watermarking these letters. I mean, I couldn't find a way to watermark the letters to show you how to do this, is how I should have phrased that. Over here is the alphabet folder. All of the letters are there in capital and lowercase, printed English. There are also numbers. And you can just bring letters in one at a time and just put them in place. Now, once you've added your pieces, you can add shadows to anything and everything that you want to add those dark edges. For example, if you want this leaf to have a shadow, we select our leaf, come back to Style, Shadow, Drop Shadow. Now you can change how big that shadow is here too. You can change the offset and the blur. I usually just come in and pick drop shadows on almost everything. Occasionally I'll play with something different, but not usually. And again, that will just give your card a little more dimension. So it's really quite easy. Now when it's done, you can take everything like so, select, group it. That way it goes nowhere. It'll move together now all over your page. You can hit Command Copy, Command V, stick it in again, and now you can have a sheet of these. You can just keep doing that, fill your sheet, and you can then slice them and adhere them to the card front and end up with a finished thank you card, or whatever sentiment you'd like to put here. I used thanks, and the way I got the shine on my thanks is I just used a little bit of liquid glass and just traced over. Thanks for joining me today. I hope I made it look as simple as it really is to do this. If you have any questions, comments, please leave them for me. If you're interested in seeing more videos on how I use Polkadoodles products, how I play with my Cricut, or how I arrange things on my notes, then tap that subscribe button and I'll see you on my next video adventure. Bye.